or some say Prism. Do you hear our prayers? No, we shall not abandon the dream. No one can catch us. No one can stop us now.
Oh, sorry. Wrong game. But oh well. While Prism won't grant us ice, she will grant us light. The only thing I don't like about Prism is that she seems to be infatuated with some guy named Harold. And I prefer my idols to be single so I can lose myself in a parasocial relationship with a total stranger. Leaving that aside, let's take a look at the price of the deck. I went with the same rules as I did for my Dromai deck tag. In case you didn't watch that, I'm going to leave you the link for that as well. And the deck's total, without shipping, is only slightly higher than Dromai's at $22.65. Very nice. Before we get into the deck tag, let me thank you again for subscribing to my channel. I hope to bring you a lot more deck tag videos in this new year of 2023. So if you haven't already, then please do subscribe if you want to see more casual, commoner and budget Blitz deck tag videos. And now let's get back to something a little lighter. Get it? Cause Prism's a light illusionist hero? I'm so funny, dude. Our hero is Prism, a total nerd. Look at her, reading books, doesn't even use an e-reader, what a hipster. She has 4 intelligence and 20 health. She also has a once per turn instant ability that reads: pay 2 resources, banish a card from Prism's soul, create a spectral shield token. It's an illusionist aura with: if your hero would be dealt damage, instead destroy spectral shield and prevent 1 damage that source would deal. Important thing to note for people who skip most of the words while reading like me: say we would take 3 damage and block all of the 3 damage with a card from our hand, then none of our spectral shields will be destroyed. For some reason my brain always defaulted to, oh well, that's gone because it isn't optional. But also, the damage is only dealt at the end of a chain link, not before. Ah well, as a wise man once said, reading the card explains the card. We learn from our mistakes and I hope you can learn from mine as well. Now for our weapon. Luminaris is a real powerhouse. During our action phase, illusionist auras we control are weapons that can deal 1 damage and once per turn action for 0 attack. While there is a card with a yellow color strip in your pitch zone, illusionist attacks you control have go again. We're quite likely to fulfill that condition as we run 2 red, 24 yellow and 14 blue cards in this deck. As for our main armor pieces, we're going with Crown of Reflection. We can destroy it at instant speed to destroy target illusionist aura we control. If we do, we may put an illusionist aura from our hand into the arena with cost less than or equal to the aura destroyed this way. But we can only activate it during our action phase. Additionally, it comes with Arcane Barrier 1. Dreamweavers can be destroyed to make the next illusionist attack action card we play this turn lose and not be able to gain Phantasm. Go again. It also has Spell Void 1. Silent Stilettos have: whenever an attacking ally you control dies or an attack action card you control is destroyed by Phantasm, you may pay 3 resources. If you do, destroy Silent Stilettos and gain 1 action point. Like Crown of Reflection, it has Arcane Barrier 1. And Vest of the First Fist has: when an attack action card you control hits, you may destroy Vest of the First Fist. If you do, gain 2 resources. If our matchup requires us to have more physical block, we can switch in the full Ironhide set, and if we need more Arcane Barrier, we can swap in Nullrune Gloves and Nullrune Hood. And here we are again. Let's see what's in the deck. Let me start by saying this: all illusionist attack action cards have Phantasm, so I don't have to say it for every card. All of them block for 3 as well, with the exception of Brothers in Arms, but more on that later. We'll start with the attack actions so we can see what that Herald guy brings to the table. First we have Herald of Erudition. It has a yellow color strip and costs 2 resources. It has Dominate and: if Herald of Erudition hits, put it into your hero's soul and draw 2 cards. Herald of Erudition deals 5 damage. Next up is Herald of Judgment. It can be pitched for 2 resources and costs 2 resources to play. It's a Prism specialization, so only Prism can play it. If Herald of Judgment hits, put it into your hero's soul and the defending hero can't play cards from their banished zone until the end of their next turn. Herald of Judgment deals 6 damage. We play the yellow and blue Herald of Protection. They cost 2 resources to play and read: If Herald of Protection hits, put it into your hero's soul and create a Spectral Shield token. They hit for 6 or 5 damage respectively. The yellow Herald of Ravages costs 2 and has, if Herald of Ravages hits, put it into your hero's soul and deal 1 arcane damage to target hero. It attacks for 6. The blue Herald of Rebirth costs 2 as well. If Herald of Rebirth hits, put it into your hero's soul and put up to 1 card with Phantasm from your graveyard on top of your deck. Herald of Rebirth deals 5 damage. And the last Herald is Herald of Triumph. It pitches for 2 and costs 2. Attack action cards have -1 attack while defending Herald of Triumph. If Herald of Triumph hits, put it into your hero's soul. It attacks for 6. Whoa there past me, hold on just a second. You actually forgot the yellow and blue War Tune Heralds. They cost 1 and if they hit, they're put into Prism's soul. They deal either 5 or 6 damage. But that's not all for attacks just yet. Phantasmaclasm, or as I like to call it, Phantasmclasm, because it sounds funny and I'm a funny guy, pitches for 1 and costs 3 to bring us some variety. It says look at the defending hero's hand and choose a card. They put it on the bottom of their deck, then draw a card. So if they have a card that could trigger Phantasm, we get rid of that. Phantasmclasm swings for a whopping 9 damage. And lastly we have the yellow and blue Brothers in Arms. But we actually only want these for their defensive ability or to pitch them for 2 or 3 resources. It blocks for 2 and when we defend with it, we may pay 1 resource. If we do, it gains 2 additional block. Next up on the list are auras. And there are actually quite a lot of them. As I did for attacks, let me say that every aura in this deck has Spectra. None of the light auras have a block value and the pure illusionist auras all block for 2. Let's start with the light illusionist auras because there's something special about them, which I once again skipped over while reading. Every single one of them is an light illusionist instant aura. That means they don't use up our action points and can even be played during our opponent's turn. Arclight Sentinel is kind of like a divine shield from World of Warcraft. Unfortunately, there is no Hearthstone in Flesh and Blood, so we don't get the full Paladin PvP experience. It can be pitched for 2 resources but costs an unheard of 6. If Arclight Sentinel is in the arena when an opponent announces an attack, they must choose Arclight Sentinel as the target of the attack. So if you know your opponent's next attack would defeat you, pray that you get priority before they play it so you can cast Sentinel in response to that. If you play it in response to the attack, you still lose, because the target was already declared before Sentinel was on the field. Of course, it also has Spectra, so if we time everything right, our opponent has to attack Arclight Sentinel, and since it gets destroyed by Spectra, their attack won't resolve and the combat chain closes. And in most cases, that means their turn is over as well. Merciful Retribution pitches for 2 and costs 4. Whenever an aura or attack action card we control is destroyed, we deal 2 arcane damage to target hero. If it's a non-token light card, we put it into Prism's soul. Ode to Wrath is yellow and costs 4 resources to play. Whenever a source we control deals damage to an opposing hero, they lose 1 health. Also, illusionist attack action cards we control have Go Again. The last light illusionist aura is Parable of Humility. It's yellow and costs 4 too. It reads, attack action cards controlled by an opposing hero have -1 attack while attacking and defending. This will make it at least a little bit harder for our opponents to trigger Phantasm. As for our non-light auras, they all have blue color strips and cost 0 resources to play. Haste Bending has a once per turn effect. Whenever Haste Bending or another illusionist non-token aura we control is destroyed, we create a Spectral Shield token. Passing Mirage makes our first illusionist attack each turn lose and unable to gain Phantasm. And then there is Pierce Reality. The first illusionist attack action card we play each turn deals 2 additional damage. And since we already talked about Brothers in Arms, there's only 1 defense card left to talk about. We play the yellow Oasis Respite. For 1 resource it can prevent 3 damage that would be dealt to us by a source of our choice. If we have less life than each other hero, we may gain 1 life. And that wraps up the budget Blitz deck tag for Prism. I hope you enjoy the deck, and so far I must say it's my personal favorite to play. Oh, and since most people turned off the video by now, here's an inside joke for you and me. The next time you play Prism against somebody, whenever you use her name, pronounce it as Prism and pretend nothing's wrong with that. The bewilderment on people's faces is priceless.